What's up, you guys? It's your girl Fire here, and welcome back to another hashtag Her Story, where I do my makeup and talk about the reigning queens of the Hawaii Kingdom. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Queen Emma. I did a little something about her in the previous episode, in Queen Kapi'olani's episode. If you didn't see that one, make sure to watch that one before you watch this one. But let's get into this Her Story. If you are interested, stay to the end of it, like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get started. So Queen Emma, she was born Emma Kalani Kaumaka'amano Na'ea Rook. Rook being the very last of her last name. To me, that sounds like English. It sounds British. So my guess is that she was half Caucasian and half Native Hawaiian. And if you take a look at her pictures, you definitely can tell like she's mixed, but it wasn't really specified. But I'm guessing she might have been mixed. She is a Capricorn queen, born January 2nd, 1836. Shout out to all the Capricorns out there. You guys are always about your money. You guys are very ambitious people, very driven people, and we love that. I love that. My grandma's a Capricorn. Her birthday's January 2nd too. She was born in Honolulu. Her father was George Na'ea, a high chief, and her mother was a high chiefess, and her name was Fanny Kekelaukalani. Although she wasn't with her parents for that long at birth, she was adopted by her auntie, and her auntie's name was Grace Kamakui Young, and adopted by her husband, Dr. Thomas Rook, where I'm guessing she took on his last name, okay? So she wasn't with her parents for long. She was adopted, but that doesn't mean she lived a hard knock life, because this girl still was very driven, very smart, and she went to a royal school, lived in an English mansion, okay? Queen Emma wasn't the only one that attended this royal school. Her classmates were students such as Queen Liliuokalani, Bernice Pauahi Bishop, and her future husband, Alexander Liholiho. Now, remember when I told you that Alexander was supposed to marry Queen Liliuokalani? Well, he ended up marrying Queen Emma. But that's later on in the video. You didn't hear that from me. At the age of 6, Queen Emma was an accomplished English reader. She also was very good at history, very good at geography, and she knew a little bit of French, okay? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? My croissant. Like, at the age of 6, like, come on. What was I doing at the age of 6 if I wasn't learning French? I was outside playing tag with no shoes on. Not only was she good at her studies, she also was very good at her hobbies, apparently. She was a vocalist, a pianist, and a skilled equestrian. She also was a beautiful little girl, okay? She was 5'2". Shout out to all the short women out there. 5'2" gang. .5'2", slender tenderoni with large black eyes, beautiful hair. She was a catch. That didn't go unnoticed, because in June 1856, she had got married to her fellow classmate, Alexander Liholiho, where they got married at the Kawaiahau Church. I think that's how you say it, Kawaiahau. Their wedding was the first royal wedding to be witnessed by the Hawaiian community. The Hawaiian community looked at them as like hashtag relationship goals, hashtag couple goals, the future of Hawaii. So they had big shoes to fill, and that they did, because one of the contributions that this couple had brought to Hawaii was bringing the church, or Christian religion, Catholic religion, Protestant religion, to the islands and to the Hawaiian community. Back then, ancient Hawaiians used to believe in a religion that was something more of animistic and more polytheistic. So they believed in non-human gods, if that makes sense. They would believe in things like animals being gods, worshiping amakuas, spirit guides. They would believe in the water having life, the sky having life, fire having life. that type of stuff. One good example would be Pele, which is the god of fire. Another example, if you were to have an aumakua, that would be your spirit guide. My family, our aumakua is turtles. I know some aumakuas can be like lizards, some of them can be sharks, some of them can be owls. So when one of our family members die, we honestly feel that they come back into animal form to guide us through life. So that is why I got my turtles on top of my leg. But yeah, ancient Hawaiians used to believe in that until, of course, the white community or white missionary people had introduced to them Christianity and why you shouldn't worship animals or the sky or the water and stuff like that. Some Hawaiians got scared, I feel, and really dug deep into that, and so they went into Christianity and Catholicism. Is that a thing? Is that a word? They turned into Catholics instead of believing their own, religion, so to speak, their own cultural religion. They were responsible for that, building churches and cathedrals out there in Hawaii, resulting in the United Church of England and Ireland to be established, and for the American Episcopal Church to be established there on the island. And they also raised funds to build a cathedral out there for people to go and worship. And so, the Hawaiian religion is just pretty much at the back burner, pretty much out the window. Like, nobody believes in that anymore. And then now it's kind of like white man's religion. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody, but that's just what it is. They did that to black people too. Okay, so Africans had their own type of religion, and then that's when they got introduced into slavery, and then the slave masters introduced the slaves into Christianity, believing in their Bible and their God. That's a whole topic within itself. But anyways, moving on, we are going to get into a little bit of tea, a little bit of juice, a little bit of Hawaiian sun. His name was Prince Albert Edward Kauikeoli Leo Papa. That was his full name, and his godmother was Queen Victoria. Queen Emma and Queen Victoria were close and kind of like besties. They would visit each other, eat tea and crumpets and whatnot. You know what I mean? They were close, so that's why Queen Victoria was named the godmother of her son. Sadly, the story with her son is he died at 4 from an illness, and this is where the Hawaiian sun tea comes in. Queen Kapiolani was his caretaker. Legend has it, no, let me not say that, but it is said through research, Prince Albert was throwing a tantrum, right? Like how kids do, throwing tantrums, being bad, throwing shit, I don't know. I'm guessing in Hawaiian religion, how they did Hawaiian kids, I don't know. Maybe she took on that practice with Prince Albert, but she threw cold water on him. This is not funny. This isn't funny. Hold on. Queen Kapiolani threw water on him to make him calm down, and that caused for him to die. I don't exactly know how that works. Maybe he drowned, but he was already sick, I'm guessing. So the story has it that Queen Emma, because of that incident and the death of her son, she blamed it on Queen Kapiolani because she did that to him, and then caused a bit of friction, a bit of shade, a bit of animosity, if you will. But that's just like in theory. It is said that Queen Kapiolani did not do that out of ill feeling or ill willing. She didn't do that just to do it and to be mean. But this is the kicker. This is the kicker, right? Queen Kapiolani was married to King Kalakaua, right? And King Kalakaua was in the running for the throne. And guess who was in the running? If you remember from the last episode, guess who was in the running? The second candidate running against King Kalakaua, Queen Emma. You know what I'm saying? And so, if you ask me, I don't know. You come up with your own theories. Following the unfortunate passing of her son, Prince Albert, a year later, King Alexander Liholiho dies of an asthma attack, leaving the Hawaiian kingdom with no king or heir to the throne. So what does Queen Emma do? What is she to do? She is to put on her big gal panty, okay, her big girl knickers, and she is to run for this Hawaiian throne, for this ruler of the Hawaiian kingdom, right? But she isn't the only candidate that is deserving, that isn't a prospect for this throne, because there is a man by the name of David Kalakaua that is of royal bloodline and descendant to, you know, the throne, just as deserving as she is, and he runs up against her. Now, this candidacy was kind of messy, if you ask me, but she never had a chance. I feel like she never really had a chance because, one, she's a woman, and then she's not even full Hawaiian. So a lot of her Hawaiian peers, the Hawaiian community, was like, I think the hell not. So David Kalakaua always had that upper hand. Men ruled the world back then, and he was full Hawaiian. So there's that. This is just a fun fact. It was said that David Kalakaua was pro-American in his beliefs, and Queen Emma was pro-British in her beliefs, okay? So they believe two different things. I don't know if it's Democrat or to label as Democrat Republican type of beliefs, but they had their own specifications on how they wanted Hawaii to, you know, grow in the future. But nevertheless, when the ballots had came out, there were 39 votes for David Kalakaua, and there was 6 votes for Queen Emma. So obviously she lost pretty damn hard. So she wasn't too happy about it, nor were the supporters behind her. And a lot of her supporters were, you know, some politicians, but there were a good community of people, Hawaiian people, that was backing her as well, and they didn't like that. So what they did was cause riots. They caused riots and caused a lot of uneasiness, a lot of looting, but it was to said that even though there was these riots that were going on, what they did not destroy was the Iolani Palace. They had that much respect that they didn't destroy the Iolani Palace or any of its belongings in it, okay? So I mean, that's cool. It's kind of like the Black Lives Matter movement, when a lot of black people and white people were rioting out there, looting, breaking into Target and stuff like that, but when it came to black owned businesses, they didn't touch it, you know. So that's kind of how that went with the Hawaiian community during this Queen Emma frenzy. No longer a queen, no longer a wife. So what is Queen Emma to do? Or regular Emma, what is she to do? Well, it said that she started traveling. So she traveled to and from London from Hawaii to visit her friend Queen Victoria, in which Queen Victoria shared the same mishaps or unfortunate events. Her son dies and then her husband dies, so they kind of click up. They're hanging out, and Emma decides like she wants to be more active in her community. So what does she do? She takes major interest into the healthcare and health welfare of the Hawaiian people, because she did notice that there was a major rise in foreign diseases that was killing off Hawaiian people. So she built a hospital called Queen's Medical Center, or it's now called Queen's Medical Center to this day, a hospital for Hawaiian people to get well and get better. She also was very concerning with the youth of young girls or young Hawaiian children. So she built or established a school called Iolani School for Boys and St. Andrew's Prairie School for girls. Okay, so 2 private schools that are located on Oahu. She had established that for those children to grow up to be smart just as she was, and to, you know, further the Hawaiian education. She also wanted to further the religion, so she, in efforts of the Anglican Church, she built St. Andrew's Cathedral Church out there on Oahu as well. I've never been to those schools or that church, but it seems really like European to me. I felt like I didn't need to go there. And of course, you gotta pay to go to St. Andrew's Priory for girls. You gotta pay for that, and that shit costs, okay? So I went to Waipahu, I went to Pearl City, whatever. So fast forward, at the tender age of 49, Queen Emma had died from a cerebral hemorrhage on April 25th, 1885. She had a royal funeral and was buried at Mauna Ali'i graveyard right next to her son and her husband. Okay, so if you had anything to take away from today's episode, take away that this was a very thoughtful queen, a very ambitious queen, and a biracial queen. Maybe the first biracial queen of the Hawaiian monarchy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. I thank you guys so much for watching. Tune in to next week's episode where we talk about Bernice Pauahi Bishop. So I'll see you guys in the next one.